Hi, everyone. This is Ron Guth. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel and to the live stream tonight. Looks like we have a couple people online. Welcome to everybody. It's been 2 weeks since I had my last live stream, and a lot has happened in between. Has happened in the coin market, and I want to talk to you about those things tonight and then answer any questions that you might have. One of the big things that happened, and one of the reasons that I couldn't do a live stream last week, was the Florida United Numismatist show took place in Orlando, Florida. That is a major show. It's usually what people consider the bellwether of the numismatic market for 2023, and it did not disappoint. Now, I've been going to the fun shows since the mid 70s when I used to live down in Tampa, St. Pete area. And it was held sometimes at Clearwater, sometimes in Tampa, but it seems to have settled down in Atlanta at the Orange County Convention Center. That's all well and good. The big issue with this year was getting to the show. As you know, there was some big snowstorms back east that disrupted all the air flights. And we didn't have a problem getting there because we were leaving from San Diego, which is nice and sunny, went through Houston, which is nice and sunny, and ended up in Orlando, which is nice and sunny. But that did not mean that there weren't disruptions because flights had to come in from other cities. What someone recommended to me, I had originally booked on Southwest, and what somebody recommended to me was to make an alternative flight would be just in case Southwest had issues. And I did do that. And as a result, I was able to get to Orlando with no disruption. And as it turned out, Southwest didn't have any problems, at least on our leg of the flights that day. So I got there Wednesday night, and then I hit the show Thursday morning. And again, this is a major show. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of dealers from all over the country. And it is just a really great show. I mean, they have an international section, they have an ancient section, they have a budget section, and then, of course, they have the main area of the floor where you can find anything from a $1 coin up to a six-figure coin. The show itself is very active, as I mentioned. You can usually tell the temperature or the activity of a show by what we call the buzz, and that is the sound of the volume of the sound, the people talking and transacting business at the show. And in this case, the buzz was really good. Everybody seemed to be having a good show, and everyone I talked to said that they had a good show. It ranged from a good show to a great show to the best show ever. So that's always positive. So if we're going to use the fun show as a bellwether for the 2023 coin market, I think it's going to be really good. I did meet a group of people. I mean, I should say many of the contacts that I've made over the years. It was really interesting to reconnect. Some of the people, especially the overseas dealers, have not been back to America since COVID. So it was really nice to see some old familiar faces. The people that came over were ready to do business. I mean, whether you're a vest pocket dealer or someone who actually set up at the show and had a table, I mean, everybody was there just to do business. I mean, they were happy to be out on the road, happy to be at a show, and happy to be in Florida because the rest of the country, as I said, was under snow. And Orlando in January is just a really nice place. Now, I notice we don't have any questions yet here, but I encourage you, if you have any questions, to jump on the chat and let me know what's on your mind, if you have any questions about anything. And again, there is no, I like to call them stupid questions. We all started out in the same place. If we're a coin collector, we had a limited knowledge. I mean, we literally had no knowledge. Everything that we've learned by doing. Many of us have been around for a long time, so we've got a lot more experience than other people do. But in general, I find that most coin dealers are very willing to spend time with newcomers and to help them experience the hobby and enjoy the hobby, because there are some pitfalls. You have to be very careful about buying properly graded coins. You have to deal with reputable dealers. And when you're starting out, you really don't know who's reputable, who's not. It takes a while to get that information, and you can do it on your own, but it's very helpful if you have someone who is in the industry and can help you with, um, learning the ropes, so to speak. At the show, there were a number of different things that you could do and experience. They had a very nice exhibit area, and in that there was one of the most interesting things what was what they call a short snorter project. A short snorter is basically a bill, a piece of currency that people sign. It could be one person signs it or any number of people. Well, this particular short snorter was not short. It was many short snorters attached together, and they were all signed during World War II. And I don't have the list in front of me, but it included generals, ambassadors, uh, naval officers, military officers. I mean, it was just a who's who of people that were in the Pacific theater during World War II. So this short snorter was spread out over a long table, and it had an explanation of many of the people that signed it. And it was really interesting to see that, because normally, coin exhibits are pretty staid. It's like it could be a collection of something, Indian head cents. In fact, that was an exhibit at the fun show, a very nice exhibit of Indian cents. But it's Indian cent after Indian cent after Indian cent, which is great if you're into Indian cents. But we also like exhibits to be a little more interesting and informative. And I've been around coins for a long time. I've seen just about everything. And I thought it was really neat to see this short snorter. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it. So it was a really unique perspective. Okay, I've got a question here from Walker Azul. Thanks for coming on board tonight. He says, thanks so much for doing the show. I'm trying to develop my eye for original circulated gold. Can you offer advice on how to distinguish original gold from processed pieces? That's a very good question, because what happened a long time ago, and this is a lament that I've heard from many of the dealers who deal in what we call original crusty gold. A lot of the old gold was dipped and stripped in order to get a higher grade from the grading services. And this was part of where, in my opinion, the grading services were rewarding a certain appearance. They liked a bright, uniform color. They did not like copper spots, which is where the copper that is in the coin turns red. I mean, it's basically an oxidation, and they show up in various places. And if they're excessive, they're not attractive. But one or two here and there indicates to me and to most collectors that the coin's never been cleaned. It's never been stripped. So that's a desirable thing to have. So many of these coins were stripped and dipped, and they have a bright yellow appearance, which is not what old crusty gold looks like. This is particularly true in, say, Southern gold, which it would be coins from the Dahlonega or the Charlotte mints. Those, for some reason, would always get a higher grade if they were dipped. And what that means is that over time, because these coins are so rare, that very few coins exist today that haven't been processed. So if you're a collector like yourself, you're going to have a difficult time finding crusty old original pieces, but they are out there. And if you learn to tell the difference, good on you. One of the best ways to tell if a coin has been dipped or not is obviously the color. Most coins have either a reddish gold color or a greenish gold color, depending on where they were made. If you look at some of the Beckler gold pieces that were made in Georgia and North Carolina in circa 1834, they're going to have a green gold color because that's the color of the gold that came from that area. If you're talking about California gold, you're talking more of a reddish gold. And when these coins, over time, they develop what we call a patina, or a surface that takes on a little bit of color. Gold by itself is inert. It's not going to react with the atmosphere, so it will stay the same color forever. But because gold is alloyed with copper, it's usually 90% gold, 10% copper, they're going to acquire a reddish color over time. And they will continue to gain that color at a very, very slow rate, assuming they're kept in a dry environment. So look for a reddish gold color or a greenish gold color, and then look for literally crust. You can look for dirt that might be in the protected areas around the letters or in the denticles, which are the tooth-like projections around the outside of the coin, or they could be in the design itself. So look for that. If it looks like it has crust on it, that's a good sign. Usually when they process coins, all that crust is taken off, and the coin has it's not an unnatural appearance, but it's obviously not an old appearance. So another way to tell is obviously, well, you can't go by the certification much. The best way to learn what gold should look like or could look like, or compare what gold looks like, is when you go to a coin show like the Fun Show. You can actually go to the lot viewing for the auctions and sit down, and anyone can go in. You can go in. They don't care. They're assuming that you're going to bid. And you can actually go through each of the boxes and look and see what the gold coins look like. Now, depending on what the sale is, you have to be a little cautious. If it's a name sale like the Bass collection that just came up, or if it is the Fairmont collection that Stax Bowers just had recently and will continue to have because there's so many gold coins from that origin, those coins will generally be original and crusty. There will be some exceptions, but the Fairmont collection is a perfect example of old, crusty gold that is a great way to learn what it's supposed to look like. If you go to a regular sale, a lot of the coins have been what we call maxed out, where they have reached the highest possible grade they can get. They may have been processed, may or may not, but they're going to be maxed out. But even so, what I recommend is grab a box of the coins, stick your thumb over the grade of the coin, and then look at it under light and examine it and see what you think of it. Compare it from coin to coin. You'll be going through, in many sales, hundreds of gold coins. And that is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to learn about what coins should look like and how to learn how to grade. It's the best experience I can recommend to anybody, because if you're going out and you're just buying coins, first of all, you can only buy so many, just most of us have budgets. And you may not see enough to learn what the coins are supposed to look like. And that's what I think is the difference between an experienced collector and an experienced grader, is they have been exposed to thousands, possibly even millions of coins. They just look at coins all the time. And if you want to learn what a rare 1870 cc $20 gold piece is supposed to look like, you're never going to be able to buy one. Those are six-figure coins. And the only way to learn is to go to auctions and actually see the coin. So again, I recommend that's the best way to do it. I mentioned the Fairmont collection. That was a huge accumulation of coins that supposedly came out of South America. And it was just a crusty deal of everything, and rare dates, common dates, all different denominations. And it was the coins that have been from that collection, because they are so original, they have really commanded large premiums, despite the fact that this is a huge hoard of coins that came on the market. Generally, we think that a hoard of coins might depress the pricing, but that did not happen with the Fairmonts. And they continue to come out. More and more will be coming out. They have not finished selling everything. I don't know how much is left, but I think it's going to be plenty of coins coming onto the market. So if you have a chance to go look at the coins at either a coin show or get down to Costa Mesa and go to the Stax Bowers headquarters, definitely make the trip. It's a great way to learn. So hopefully that answers your question about how to tell original gold from processed pieces. And again, stick with certified coins. If a coin has been harshly cleaned or abused, the grading companies are going to put a details grade on it. They're not going to put a clean coin in a holder, not intentionally at least. And if you buy certified coins, you're going to be safe. A lot of people swear by the CAC certified coins. That is the Certified Acceptance Corporation, which puts a sticker on coins where they agree with the grade. They'll put a gold sticker on coins that are conservatively graded in their opinion. And a lot of people swear by those. CAC is very particular. They like original coins. So if you get a CAC stickered gold coin that's already been certified, you're going to be getting something that people will pay a premium for, and most people will be very happy with the grade and very happy to own the coin. So that would be another recommendation. Now let me get back to the show itself. There were a couple other exhibits there. Great Collections was there with the Stuart Blay collection of Lincoln pennies, which are going to be coming up for sale really shortly. Go to their site, greatcollections.com, and you can see what incredible coins are coming up. Now, Stuart Blay has been collecting Lincoln pennies for God knows how long. I mean, I've known him for 20 or 30 years. And he was laser focused on Indian head pennies. And I mean, he wanted the very best. He wanted full red when he could get it. And he wanted every variety, a major variety. I'm talking about like over dates, double dates, anything you could find. And he put together this phenomenal collection of not only Lincoln pennies, but he also did Indian pennies. He also did early copper. And so he was a great collector, and his coins are just phenomenal. So when I tell you to go look at coins in auctions, for me, this was a great way to learn about what really nice Lincoln head pennies were supposed to look like. And it was a great opportunity for anybody interested in that series. And even if you're not, it's a great way to see what monster coins can really look like. Another exhibit, what else did I see there? The Stuart Blay collection. God, there was so much going on. It's hard to remember everything. One of the highlights of the trip was the Roundtable Trading Group. They have a website. It's Coin Dealers Helping Coin Dealers. And it's a really good group. It's surprising that there are so many young coin dealers in it. It's really exciting to me because it gives me hope that there's a future for the coin business. It's not just a bunch of old gray-haired men like me that are going to be leaving someday and there won't be anything left. So it's good to see the young people there. Anyway, the Roundtable Trading hosted a gathering at Maggiano's Italian restaurant that night. It was a really good group. I think they had over 100 people there, which for a coin gathering, just an informal coin gathering, is really good. And it was a great time when people would get together, see old friends, meet new ones. And that was really, for me, one of the highlights of the trip. And I actually planned my trip around it, my travel plans around it. So that was one of the highlights there. I got to see Sheridan Downey. Sheridan Downey he deals primarily in early half dollars, cap to bust half dollars, stuff from 1794 to 1836, and maybe even through the cap bust series, it goes through 1839. But he had an auction. Usually at these shows, he has an auction, whether it's the A&A or a fun show. He has a little mail bid sale. I shouldn't say little. There are usually 100 so lots of really neat early bust half dollars. And I'd forgotten that a while back I'd consigned him a single half dollar that he wasn't able to sell at the A&A, but he kept the coin and, unbeknownst to me, stuck it in the fund sale. And which, when when I came to see him, I was basically thinking about just picking the coin up. But he said, no, it's in the sale. So it did well. It sold this time. And I'm just was really pleased to see him and to learn that my coin was going to go away. And I actually made some money on it. Got another question here from Walker Azul. What do you think of the loan Lincoln sent in MS-69? Deserving of the grade? It's a sort of a technical question, but it's also a question about personal opinion. The coin is an absolute monster. MS-69 obviously is 1 point shy of perfection. And in order to get MS-69 on a coin that was made for circulation is just about impossible. Obviously, it is possible because there is one. But let me tell you something, that coin is an absolute monster. The surfaces are perfect. The color is perfect. It's just an amazing coin. So did it deserve the grade? I think so, yes. It's going to bring a blue ton of money just because anybody that has a registry set is going to want that coin. It is the best coin they can get. It will help them get to number one or stay at number one. And there are a lot of people that collect Lincoln pennies, so it should bring a lot of money. It's really an amazing coin, and it's certainly the condition rarities in the series. It is one of the highlights of the Blade collection. So yeah, that was a pretty neat coin. What else did I see there? I went to see. Here was an unusual deal. There's a dealer named Rex Stark out of New England, and he usually deals in political stuff, medals, sort of non-numismatic items, but he does come up with numismatic items. Well, he had a collection of enameled coins, and this is where coins have been literally painted, enameled, and they're colorful, they're beautiful. Usually it's only on one side, and often they're turned into pins that ladies would wear. But he had a collection of something like 1,900 enameled coins that he had accumulated over the years. This was a collection that he had built. So it was really fascinating to see this. Normally, if you go to a dealer's table, you'll either see no enameled coins or maybe one. So to see 1,900 of them spread out all over the place. These are coins from all over the world, some with very, very beautiful designs. And it was just really neat to see that. Now, I was only at the coin show on Thursday and Friday. On Friday, I met with two collectors that I know really well, that I've dealt with over the years. And what was started out to be maybe a 15-minute, 20-minute meeting turned out in both cases to be over 2 hours. So it was really fun to get together with these guys. And that's one of the other nice things about coin shows is connecting with people, either customers or colleagues in the industry. When you're dealing over the phone or you're dealing online, even if you're dealing on a Zoom call, there's nothing better than getting to meet somebody face to face and conversing with them, seeing the tone, the way that they talk, you can't get that from a chat or a conversation, but you can from face to face. And that's really how relationships are built. And if you're going to be deeply involved in the coin business, it's a good idea to build a relationship with a coin dealer that you can learn to trust, because they can be a real ally for you. They can look for coins for you in places that you might not go. You may not go to a show every weekend, but a lot of these guys do. So they can help you out finding coins for your collection. What were some of the other highlights? Did I buy anything at the show? I looked for some German coins and I bought a few. I really didn't buy anything expensive, and I didn't bring anything to sell. So, I mean, basically it was just going around and chatting with everybody. I did not get to see the Penny Lady. For some reason, I just never made it to her table in those 2 days. That gives you an idea of how big the show was. The Penny Lady is Sharmi Harker, who's a good friend and lives here in Southern California. So we get together with her and a couple other coin dealers, and we go to each other's houses and have dinners, and we really become good friends. So if you ever go onto the PCGS message boards, Sharmi does some of the best show reports anywhere, and people really look forward to them. She takes lots of pictures, and she likes wine, so she'll usually have pictures of the bottles of wine that she recommends that she either drank at the show or had at dinner. You can also see her on her website at pennylady.com. Now, one of the things that took place while actually before the fun show was going on was the sale of Harry Bass's collection. Harry W. Bass was a well-known collector of gold coins, pattern coins, and he was famous for putting together the first complete set. I shouldn't say the first. He was able to complete a set of $3 gold pieces. And if you don't know that series, there is one coin that will stop you dead in your tracks, and that is the 1870s $3 gold piece. It's a unique coin and really unusual. And in order to buy it, Harry Bass went to the 1982 sale of the Louis Eliasberg collection, which was the only complete collection of U.S. coins ever assembled. And he had to pay, back in 1982, $687,500 for this coin. Now, $687,500 doesn't sound like very much today, because there are plenty of coins, hundreds of coins that have sold for $1 million or more. But in 1982, $687,500 was an absolute blowout price. In the same sale, I think it was the 1822 5 that sold for the exact same amount, $687,500. And at that time, both of those coins set a new record price for the series. Now, Harry owned the coin for all these years. When he sold some, his collection was sold by Bowers and Morena in the late 1990s, but it wasn't the complete collection. It wasn't everything in his collection. Harry had taken out a typeset of U.S. gold coins, and the complete set of threes. He had taken out some really nice pattern coins, and he donated them. I shouldn't say donated. He loaned them in 2000 to the American Numismatic Association to be exhibited at their headquarters in Colorado Springs. The ANA, the American Numismatic Association, put together a really nice display, and it was there in their headquarters until 2022, when the foundation that owned the coins after Harry's death decided to put them up for sale. So this group of coins. It was only 103 coins that were sold on January 5th. This is part two of these coins that came from the museum. And it was, some really phenomenal stuff, and I'll go through that there in a little bit. Walker Azul has asked me, what do I think of the 1870 S3? Because it was given a straight grade by PCGS. And that, it really shouldn't get a straight grade, except that it's a rarity, and rarities are sometimes treated differently. And the reason I say that it shouldn't get a straight grade is because it has historically been called extra fine with graffiti. And what that means is that it's a worn condition. May have been in jewelry at one time. We're not really sure, but the surfaces are not wonderful. And it has a little graffiti scratched into the top of the reverse. There's an upside down 893 right above the wreath on the reverse. Now, normally a coin that has graffiti on it will never get a straight grade. It'll always be like an except details, and then they'll list the problem like graffiti or cleaning or surface environmental damage, scratch, things like that. But in this case, PCGS gave a straight grade of specimen 50 to this thing. So it's unusual to get a specimen designation. That just means it's a special coin, which it was. And when you think about it, what the heck does a grade really mean on a coin that's unique? Basically you're just saying, yeah, this is what we would call this coin. Whether you call it XF details or specimen 50, it doesn't matter. It's a unique coin. The value of the coin is not in its grade, it's in its extreme rarity. So I don't necessarily agree with the straight grade. That's my personal opinion, but I don't really see it as a problem either, because we're talking about a coin that's really unusual. One of the other aspects of the 1870S3 that is different than most other coins is that the mint mark is smaller than usual. It's a tiny S, and it was engraved into the die at the San Francisco Mint. Typically, the Philadelphia Mint, which was the mother mint, they would provide all the dies to the various branch mints. San Francisco was a branch mint, New Orleans was a branch mint, Carson City, Dahlonega, Charlotte, New Orleans, Denver. So the U.S. Mint at Philadelphia would create the dies, and they would put a mint mark into the die and then ship it out to San Francisco. In this case, the die that was sent, the reverse die that was sent to San Francisco, did not have a mint mark on it. So when they got it, what are we supposed to do? Well, they hand engraved a small S into it. So that's one of the other unusual aspects of this 1870 S3. I told you what it brought in 1982. That was 687,500. There was speculation about what it would bring today or in January when it sold. A lot of people thought, some people thought that it might bring $10 million. There's one guy that really needs this coin, and that's Deloy Hansen, who is trying to duplicate Louis Eliasberg's feat of acquiring every U.S. coin known. And I think he's down to 14 coins, maybe fewer now, but he's getting close. But if you're going to win, if you're going to get all the way, you've got to get the 1870 S3. So I'm not sure yet whether he won that coin. It hasn't shown up on the PCGS verification. I can look at it right now. It is not assigned to Deloy Hansen, so I'm not really sure whether he purchased it or not. I suppose we'll know soon, because he puts his coins into the registry sets, and if he bought it, it'll show up there. Some people thought it would bring 10 million, thinking that maybe Deloy would stretch and pay that much. But it ended up bringing $5.52 million at $5,520,000, which is a pretty good price. That's a record for a $3 gold piece, of course. It's not a record for a U.S. coin anymore, but that's still quite a big increase in value. Now, I guess you could do a calculator to see what the average rate of return was from 1982 to 2023. I mean, we're talking 40 years. And if Harry had put 687,500 in the bank at 10% interest, it would double every 7 years. So probably not a good deal from an investment standpoint. But when you're buying a coin like that, the pride of ownership or the opportunity to own it and collect it and hold it, that's priceless. That's not the rate of return is not always a consideration on when you're buying a coin. Now, I would say that many of the coins that Harry bought in the 1970s and 1980s, I mean, he scored on. I mean, if you looked at the rate of return on many of his coins, it was huge. So I think overall, his collection did really, really well. And that's typical of collections like Pittman, Norweb. Anyone who has held coins for many, many, many years generally does really, really well. If you purchase coins more recently, you got to have a little bit of time for them to increase in value. A long time ago, Art Kagan told me that every 10 years, you move the decimal point over one space. So in other words, if a coin is worth $470 10 years ago, it should be worth $4,700 today. That's a fairly loose rule of thumb, but for him, at least, it seems to have worked over time. So Harry Bass sold, as I said, 103 coins through Heritage, and they did a phenomenal job of cataloging. And the reason I know that is because I contributed some of the provenances on some of the coins that ended up in the catalog. So you'll see my name listed as a contributor to the catalog. So I'm very honored to do that, and I really appreciate the opportunity that Heritage gave me to do that. So let's look at some of the coins that Harry Bass sold, and I'm going to start at the top, which is the most valuable coins, and go down from there because that's the stuff that really gets the attention in the collecting universe. And I could say most of the coins that sold did really well. In fact, the least expensive coin that sold was let's see what that was. It sold for only $3,120, and that was a 2-cent pattern, a Judd 312 from 1863. Now, this is one of the ones that said, I think it said, "In God We Trust." No, it didn't. Yes, it did. "God Our Trust" on the front. Now, this was a year before the actual coin came out with "In God We Trust" on it. That was the first coin that had that motto on the coin. And so this coin was probably made after 1863 as sort of like a fantasy piece to get collectors to buy them. I mean, the Mint was a factory, and yes, their main goal was to produce coins, but they also made special coins for sale to collectors, and they made a profit on those. So that's probably what that was. So even if you attended the sale, you didn't have to be a wealthy collector to be able to buy a coin with a Bass pedigree, because there were, looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about 15 coins that sold for $10,000 or less, which in the scheme of things is not that much money. In my scheme of things, $10,000 is a good coin. But for many of the people that are buying this auction and spending six figures, that's a drop in the bucket. So I mentioned the 1870 S3. The number 2 most valuable coin in the auction was a 1795 $10 gold piece with 9 leaves in the palm branch on the back. This was a PCGS MS64, which is one of the finest known of that particular variety. Now, one of the things that Harry did and what he was most famous for was collect by die varieties. After his death, John Danruther took Harry Bass's notes and put together a book, the die varieties of early U.S. coins, gold coins. It's a phenomenal book. and it included every variety known, and a couple have been discovered since then. Um, but it's a phenomenal book, and I recommend getting it. So it's the U.S. gold coin varieties from 1795 to 1933. I'm sorry, 1834. It's a phenomenal book, and I recommend that you get it. It's still available. You can order it from Amazon, and I'm not sure whether John Danruther sells it himself, but get that book. Harry liked not only dye varieties, but just with everything else, he wanted the finest known. So whenever he could upgrade, he did. And many of the coins that have sold from this, what we call the core collection that came out of the museum, are some of the finest known coins that have ever been sold of those particular varieties. Some of them are quite rare. In this case, this 1795 $10 gold piece was a rarity 6, which means there's, maybe 50 pieces known at the most. So this is a really rare coin, and it's in exceptional condition. We don't know what Harry Bass paid for it because he bought it in 1971, and there's no record of what he paid for it. But this time it sold for $2.1 million. That is a very strong price for not only the type, but certainly for the variety. The third most valuable coin in this particular tranche of Bass coins was just a gorgeous little jewel that was an 1835 $2.50 gold piece. And this was in proof 67 deep cameo, which is just a phenomenal condition for a coin that is so old. And I mean, they had good technology then, but it wasn't the perfection that we have today. A lot of the early proof gold coins will have lint marks, which is a tiny thread that was attached to the coin. And in fact, this coin has a lint mark. If you look at the back of the coin, it has a lint mark, a fairly good sized lint mark by the F of that goes into the field. And even so, this coin is not that well struck. It has some softness on the hair curls. But again, this is such a rare coin. The condition is so phenomenal. It doesn't matter about the grade. It doesn't matter. The fact that it's finest known and it's nearly perfect is what matters. And this coin sold for $1.2 million. Now, Harry bought this coin back in 1982 at the Eliasberg collection. He was a big buyer at that sale. And at that time, he paid $30,800 for it. I was at the Eliasberg sale, and when I saw some of the prices and I saw $30,800, I thought, oh my God, that is an unbelievable price. Will he ever make money on that coin? I mean, he set record after record for coin after coin. And everyone was in shock, sticker shock. Oh my gosh, how can these coins be worth so much? What's going to happen with them? Well, Harry put them aside and had them in this particular coin in the museum until 2022, and it just increased in value over time and went from $30,800 to $1.2 million. So that's pretty neat. The fourth most valuable coin this time around was a 1798 over 7 $10 gold piece. This one has 7 stars on the left of the obverse, 6 stars on the right. So that's a particular dye variety of that particular year. It also has an overdate. It's a 1798 over 7, which is another interesting thing about the coin. It has some really broad denticles on this coin. I'm not sure why they're so broad, but it has a really interesting look to it. This coin was graded MS62, and it brought $1.11 million. We don't know what Harry paid for that. He bought it in 1975 from Rarcoa, but at that time he might have paid $10 or $20 or $30,000 for it. We just don't know, but that's a coin that sold for $1.1 million this time around. That is also a rarity 6 variety, not so rare as the 1795 10, but close. The next most valuable coin was a 1796 quarter eagle. This was a Breen 1 or BD2 variety. This is the one that has no stars on the obverse, which is kind of an unusual coin. When you look at it, it almost looks bare, like incomplete. Later in the year, they did put stars on the front to make it look probably a little bit better. This is a coin that Harry Bass bought in 1974 for an undisclosed sum. PCGS is graded at MS63. It's not the finest known, but it's up there, and it's sold for $990,000. So these are the sort of things that, get the coin market excited, get it going. And even though this was not the official auction of the fund show, it didn't matter. The business has changed now, as I mentioned in a previous live stream, where you no longer have to be the official auctioneer to show the benefits. The benefit cost ratio is not high enough now for the auction companies to pay the fees that they used to pay. And so a lot of these things are being held off-site or online. And if you go into the rooms nowadays, there's nobody there. It used to be a Bass sale or an Elasberg sale would have been standing room only. But nowadays, everybody is bidding online or leaving their bids for Heritage to execute. But this is another special coin. I want to go through another couple of these here and then call it a day. But if you have any questions, be sure to ask them now. We got about 15 minutes left. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel. The YouTube analytics, the algorithm is still messed up. I'm getting only 5 views per 48 hours, so I'm not sure why that's happening. So hit the subscribe button and definitely hit the notification bell and leave a comment. Leave a question. I can answer it next time or this time. Just let me know what's on your mind. Okay, the next Bass coin to sell, this would be the 6th most valuable Bass coin in this particular section, and that was an 1820 $5 gold piece with a curved base 2 and small letters on the reverse. This was an MS64 plus with a CAC sticker. I mentioned CAC stickers earlier, so that probably helped it bring as much as it did. It sold for $900,000. Another coin that Bass bought out of the Eliasberg sale. He paid $26,400. How'd he do? $26,400 becomes $900,000. And again, when the Eliasberg coin sold, we were all in shock. And today in 2023, we're in shock all over again because $900,000 is a huge price. You're getting a lot of meat for the coin, but it's still a lot of money. The 7th most valuable Bass coin was, this is a really unusual coin. It's a 1907 $20 gold piece. PCGS has never graded a high relief 20 as a proof. They maintained that because there is no documentation that proofs were actually made, that they will not recognize them. NGC will and has recognized proof high reliefs, and they bring a lot of money. And a lot of it has to do with die characteristics, particularly the edge that was used. They used a lettered edge collar. And there are also some die polishing marks that are characteristic of what they call the proofs. So they have graded quite a few of these high relief proofs, but PCGS has never done that. In this case, they did give it a designation of specimen 68, SP 68. It's the only high relief with an SP designation of PCGS. So guess what? That makes it hugely valuable. Hugely valuable. When I say huge, I'm talking $870,000. Now, $870,000 for a high relief is huge. And this is a coin that Harry bought in auction 81. Paramount sale, he paid $16,000 for it. $16,000. So that's a huge increase and a better rate of return than he got on his 1870 S3. The eighth most valuable coin is just a really wonderful 1843 $10 gold piece in proof. These are so fantastically rare. There's only a couple known. This is a PCGS Proof 64 Plus deep cameo. It's just a stunning coin. We don't know what Harry paid for this. It came from the brand collection in 1965. Harry bought it out of the Superior sale in 1978. Actually, I could find out what it sold. If I can find the prices realized for that sale, which I'm not going to do tonight, we could find out what he paid for it. But that coin in a couple days ago brought $840,000. So that's another significant coin. I mean, this is a great rarity. I mean, I'm really thrilled that it came up for sale and it brought so much money. And by the way, this money that's being raised is going to go to the Harry Bass Foundation. It's a charitable foundation, and the Heritage in this section raised $24 million from the 103 coins that they sold. $24 million is all going to go to charity, which is just a phenomenal thing. So we really appreciate Harry Bass, not only for being a collector, but for being a very generous person as far as charity goes. Let's look at one or two more coins. The ninth most valuable coin was an unusual coin. It's an 1825 $5 gold piece in PCGS Proof 62. That's sort of like not a perfect proof, like an impaired proof. It might have some surface issues or just not be a wow kind of coin, but it's an extreme rarity. And Harry bought this in 1970 from Stan Kesselman, who was a dealer in really high-end coins at the time. We don't know what Harry paid for it, but in 2023, a couple of days ago, it sold for $630,000. Now, this is one of those weird coins where it has a couple things going for it. One, it's an overdate coin. They're calling it an 1825 over 4 over 1. But over the years, people have argued about the overdate. Is it a 4 over 1? Is it a 5 over 1? Is it a 5 over 4? Forget the 1. People have debated this for a while, but that again really doesn't matter. This is probably what we would consider to be what they call a one-sided proof. In that case, let me make a note here. The one-sided proofs have a proof or a polished obverse and then a reverse that is more mint-state or more frosty. And these are what we call hybrid proofs or one-sided proofs, and they were made that way. They were deliberately made that way. So technically, they're not true proofs because both sides aren't highly polished. They're not perfect. But they're so rare. And again, this is something that we know happened because if you look at some of the coins in the Smithsonian, they are also one-sided proofs. So they are collected as part of the proof series. They always bring a lot of money, and they are really different. They're special coins. They're different than a regular mint state coin. Let's look at one more. This is the 10th most valuable coin in the Bass collection that was sold on the 5th of January. This is a Stella, a $4 gold piece from 1879. This is a flowing hair Stella as opposed to a coiled hair Stella. And this one is a PCGS Proof 67. That's a condition rarity, a really high grade for a Stella. But in my estimation, and this is just my personal opinion, Stellas, and this is my opinion from researching all these high-end coins, finest knowns, that sort of thing, Stellas are in my opinion, one of the most overvalued US coins. I mean, they are not really that rare, but they always bring a ton of money when they sell. And this goes back to what makes a coin valuable. And for Stella, it is the fact that it is a trophy coin. It has a phenomenal story about how it was made. It was a pattern. It was supposed to be an international coin that could be used in America, used in other countries. It had the weight and the composition on the front. And of course, it had the beautiful star on the back. Stella is Latin for star. And it's just a really beautiful coin. I have to give it that. The Stellas are phenomenally beautiful coins. And they just always bring a lot of money. And in this case, $600,000 for a Stella, in my estimation, is a huge amount of money. Again, the sticker shock. I look at that, and I get sticker shock. But 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when I'm long gone, it could be worth $1 million or millions of dollars, depending on what happens with our own currency. But this was a particularly nice one, and it brought a lot of money. If you get a chance to go through the Bass coins on the Heritage website, you can see all the coins that sold in this January 5th sale, and it's worth a view. All the coins have been photographed by both Heritage and by PCGS using their TrueView system. And it's a great way to see coins that you'll never see again in your lifetime. I think that a lot of these coins in this particular auction went to strong hands. I don't know that many went to dealers' inventory. I think a lot of them went to collectors, people who have been waiting for 40, 50 years for these coins to come on the market. They finally had a chance to buy them. So I think that that's where a lot of these coins are going to go. So you may not see them again anytime soon. So check them out and get to know what these coins are supposed to look like. And again, this goes back to one of the earlier questions about how do you tell an original coin? If it's a Bass coin, it's going to be generally pretty original. Bass coins are not processed per se. If you look at them, look at the photographs from TrueView, from PCGS, you'll see copper toning spots, and you'll see some of the crust that we talk about. So use that as a learning technique to figure out what these coins are supposed to look like and get to know them, because the more you know about these coins, the better educated you'll be, the more likely you are to make a purchase and to feel more comfortable about making a purchase. So do that. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you very much for showing up. We had 3 viewers most of the time tonight. Appreciate everybody showing up. I'll be back again next week. If you have any questions, you can email them to me at ron@germancoins.com, or you could put them in the comments below and I'll pick them up in next week's session. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. And thank you for your interest in coins. And I hope you have a great time putting your collection together and enjoying it. Thank you and goodbye.